Let's talk about the freedom of speech, right?
Right.
Why don't we talk about that for a minute, Lloyd? Because you and I are lawyers.
Yeah.
We know what the freedom of speech is, and we know what the safe... What is protected speech and what is not protected speech, Lloyd? Let's give the basic definition here.
Should we use the New York Times definition? I know it of pornography. You know it when you see it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have the freedom to express ideas, right? And without being prosecuted by the government for doing so. Okay, and that encompasses a lot of things. Actions can be encompassed within freedom of speech for sure. However, not all speech is free. In other words, you don't have 100% free speech and can say whatever you want.
Incitement to violence
is not freedom of speech.
Right.
Okay.
Kill the Jews.
Not freedom of speech.
Global intifada.
Not freedom of speech.
Right.
Because you are inciting violence, especially in an environment.
Towards a specific group, too.
Correct. And an environment where violence is likely to occur as the result of your incitement. It's not free speech. So I'll give you these. Let's talk about what's
contrast real quick. You can say I hate Jews.
Yes, you can.
Protected speech.
Yes, it is.
You could say Hitler was right, which is ridiculous, but protected speech. I don't have to like you, but you're allowed to say it, and I will fight for your right to say it.
Yes.
Right? The famous quote.
Yes.
But when you say let's kill the Jews,
right,
or we need to kill the Jews, or globalize intifada, we need to drive these people, that's not protected.
Right, and it is a fine line. I get it. I do. And free speech is the cornerstone of our society, right? But there's you can make the argument, and I would, that there's a difference between saying, I wish all the Jews were dead. Free speech to me. But it's another to say, go kill the Jews,
right,
and globalize the intifada, because what you're saying when you say globalize the intifada is kill Jews everywhere you find them.
Right.
Okay, that's what you're saying. That's an incitement to violence. That's not legal. But that's not necessarily only what's going on college campuses. The kids aren't standing on a quad just yelling. They're acting as well. They're harassing. They're physically assaulting. They're
going in,
preventing kids from getting into their classes.
They're guise of Zionists. I love that. They cloak it under, we are not letting Zionists cross through.
Right. Right. Again, back to the collective punishment idea. You're punishing Jewish kids in New York City for the actions of the Israeli government. It doesn't.
How do you screen for Zionists on a college campus? How do you do that screening? Explain that to me. Like, oh well, you look Jewish. You're probably a Zionist.
Maybe the way the Muslims did it in Kashmir a couple of months ago,
right,
where they tried to identify who was Muslim and who wasn't by making all of the males drop their pants before slaughtering those that turned out to be Muslim.
Right.